Yes, for any society to experience peace, growth, stability, and if you like, sustainable development, there must be law and order. And anytime there's a break of law and order, what you have is chaos, anarchy. But some are saying that in Nigeria, it's like people really don't care. People break these laws and law and order all the time, knowing fully that the law will not fight back in some cases. And as we interrogate this on the show today, we're also going to be looking at the digital economy, more so with the introduction of the 5G technology, which is aimed to, advance or add value to the digital economic drive of the country. But right now, let's just take this background report put together by Francis Obi on law and order.
Order, as the old adage says, is the first law in heaven. The truth is that without orderliness, everything will be in chaos. Driving on the roads, flying in the air, navigating on the sea all involve orderliness. Law is the blood without which order is bound to collapse. What is the situation in Nigeria? What is the compliance level of Nigerians to law and order?
Nigerians are bound to obey laws, but when there's impunity across board, so Nigerians also will flow along those lines. Let's say you are going to the US, you get to Washington. You have about 2,000 people on the queue. Nigerians will wait patiently. They will not complain. There is no complaint at all. But let them come to Murtala Mohammed International Airport and they are waiting. You have about 5 persons attending to them. The person that is maybe just coming in. What is happening here? This thing is not moving. We have to do that. And I say, Hapa, do we have to continue to show that we are home where things don't work? Nigerians are the best law keepers outside of this country because they go to those areas where the laws are made and people are there. People are paid to ensure that they enforce those laws. But here the laws are made. People are paid to enforce those laws, but they get extra payment for you breaking the law. They in fact encourage you. If you break the law, they say, okay, what do you have there? Let's just settle this matter. Let us not go there.
The blatant disregard for the due process of law being exhibited by all classes of people in our country is a cause for serious concern.
People know that if there is an altercation somewhere, you call the cops. In other crimes, you will get arrested, proper investigation will be done, whoever is found guilty will go in for it. But here, you may be on the right track and you call the police, you may be the one ending up behind the bars. So that's why people say, oh, it's not because, like they say, in pidgin English, not be who called police, then they win case, that kind of a thing. So it depends again on how we interpret our laws and the implementation of our laws.
The reason for the increased rate of compliance and obedience to laws in developed nations compared to developing nations like Nigeria is the efficacy of the law. The system is such that you can't evade the law. No matter how long it takes, the long arm of the law will eventually catch up with a criminal.
We have wonderful laws in this country. But the only problem we have is that those laws are made, we don't have sanctions, adequate sanctions that will deter people from committing those crimes. And I think this is going to be my 5th time or 6th time of saying that our lawmakers, our lawbreakers. Lawmakers are lawbreakers, lawkeepers are lawbreakers. So when you have that kind of a situation, you are very close to an anarchy where you have citizens who are supposed to follow the footsteps of the lawmakers and the lawkeepers, seeing that the lawmakers are not keeping the law, the lawkeepers are not keeping the law, and I'm supposed to keep the law. So there's always a middle point where you cannot maneuver and get away with those things.
Nigeria is one of the world's leading business locations on the African continent. But when it comes to doing business in Nigeria, there are several challenges confronting a typical Nigerian business, including the penchant disregard for law and order in the business environment.
The terrain is tough, but people still do business. That's why we need to let the policymaker know that good policy helps in making business successful in any country. Access to capital is one of the biggest, it's a difficult task as far as business is concerned in Nigeria. Electricity is very key, and the tariff right now is a lot harder for people because the tariff is very high. You have to think of getting generator as an alternative, which is not supposed to be so.
Is it any different in the telecommunications sector, where customers are complaining of not receiving value for their money? Guests in the studio will attempt answering all questions as Weekend Deal Today beams a satellite on the issue of law and order and the ease of doing business in Nigeria. What are the expectations for 2022? Weekend Deal!
All right, now we know that for us to have a sane society, we must continue to uphold law and order of that society. And, you know, it's so ironic, or rather annoying, that most Nigerians, if you're living in Nigeria, you tend to have this disregard for law and order. But as soon as you leave the shores of this country, you become the best citizen in other countries because you have to obey the law and order of that particular country. But let's hope that things will get better, more so that we are just starting the year 2022. But I know that in Lagos, it could be a different kind of experience when we talk about law and order. So let's take this from the next report put together by NTA Lagos Network Center.
To say Nigerians home and abroad are known to be versatile, hospitable, hardworking, and a happy people is stating the obvious. Many are known to have traveled outside the shores of the country for different reasons. Nigerians are known to be law-abiding citizens wherever they are resident or located. However, it is believed that even those who have traveled out and are law-abiding in such countries decide to flout rules and regulations that bound our coexistence. Why?
There's a common saying that once you are in Rome, you behave like Romans. In their country of abode, where they sojourn to eke out a living or seek for greener pasture, they see and observe that laws are meant to be obeyed. And therefore, they have no choice than to obey the law. Don't forget that they are first and foremost Nigerians before they sojourn abroad. So when they return to Nigeria, where there is virtually almost everybody disregard the law, then you don't expect them to do differently. If you go to a place where it is an offense to drop an object from a moving vehicle, you dare not do that, because if you do it, there will be consequences. But when you come to a place where you can eat all your puff-puff and drink your soft drink and throw the bottles across the window. So that is what I think is responsible. Nigerians are not lacking in law. It is the enforcement that is the problem.
Even the law enforcement agents are not left out, as nothing seems to be done without some forms of extortion from ordinary Nigerians, and corruption seems to be the order of the day.
The law enforcement agents are part and parcel of the Nigerian society. Law enforcement agents are not people that fell from heaven. Being part and parcel of the Nigerian society, they have tried to adapt themselves to the trends and character disposition of what the Nigerian society has been defined as from point of view of the nature of your political class.
Extortion, you know, is, you know, not only to police, especially uniformed people, be it immigration, custom, whatever, you know. And why? Because there's no one who is there to challenge them.
Experts call on Nigerian government to immediately and effectively address issues around the rule of law and its related abuses, and ensure that those who perpetrate crimes are held accountable.
Reorientation. reorientation. And this reorientation will not happen without the leaders, doing the right thing and the followers doing the right thing. It's both ways. It's not a matter of the leaders alone. Even the followers. The followers are even encouraging the leaders to misbehave.
All stakeholders, including the government and law enforcement agencies, must come together to attain the desirable parameters of right of citizen in the country.
The change must start and begin with us. For instance, we are talking of environmental issue. If 50 million Nigeria in 1 year, this is 2022, say, in my little space, I'm planting a tree, you should be able to nurture a tree. In the morning, you wet it. In the evening, you wet it. Assuming that 30 million survive at the end of the year, you know what that means to our environment? So everything is not government. In your little space, what are you doing? You are supposed to resume work at 8. You are strolling in by 9:20 as if all is well. And that is your normal resumption time. End of the month, you are complaining that you are not getting your salary as at when due. So we all have to make that conscious effort to create the Nigerian we desire.
All hands must therefore be on deck to tackle these menaces so that Nigeria can be a better society for all citizens.
Definitely, if we maintain law and order in Nigeria, we'll certainly be better for it. And that's the only way we can, sustain whatever gain we have achieved as a nation. And now we have joined us in the studio Mrs. Nkem Auna. She is the Director Cabinet Affairs Office and the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. You are welcome to our studios.
Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure. Now, you've seen our report.
Yes.
You know, Nigerians say there's a disregard for law and order in the country, but the good person in me feels that we are law-abiding people. So, what really is your standard? Do you think that we are, law-abiding people in this country? Do we obey law and order?
To an extent, we do. But it needs enforcement. Nigerians are good people. We've been called the happiest people on earth. We take delight in, acting freely, being free-spirited, being ostentatious, being loud, enjoying life. And in the course of that, we do whatever we see to do. So if we don't have the law enforced in Nigeria, you cannot get the best out of Nigerians. They will just do whatever they like.
Now, I'm tempted to ask where the rain began to beat us because, in Nigeria, you just said that, we have very good culture. And then there's no way you talk about culture in Nigeria without, reference to the family unit. Yes. And when children are being brought up, you realize that they are brought up, of course, the parents who want to inculcate good values in their
That
words.
was then, not now. Many parents don't pay real attention to the way the children are brought up these days. And if, as a bystander, you try to correct a child, the parents will deal with you seriously for meddling in their affairs. Some children are not punished in schools because their parents will fight back. So what you just said is back then. It was back then, not now.
So you're saying that in some cases, parents actually encourage their wards to be indisciplined?
Yes. And the society generally encourage the bad aspect of our society.
Because I know, like in some school, you realize that maybe if something happens in school and then the child is, punished for one offense or the other, the parents will rush to the school and, of course, in some cases, the teacher ends up paying for whatever he or she must have done.
There are just a few of them that know what should be done. Parents that would tell you, please punish this child. I had it happen to me once when I was a teacher. The father of the child in question came and said, please, ma, punish the mother, punish this boy, punish him. And I said, no problem. Since you have come, you have taken care of it. I won't have to punish him, you know. I didn't punish him further for what he did. But many parents won't like it if we punish their children. Many parents.
Okay.
And it's unfortunate. And this indiscipline cuts across the whole nation. It's not just any part of Nigeria. And Nigerians are the same all over the world. They are the same all over the world. We are a good people. We are good people, but, you know, we have too many law enforcement agencies.
And then it's just like you have a barking dog who cannot really bite.
Exactly.
Now, let's take this next report from, NTA Port Harcourt, and let's get to feel what it is like when we talk about law and order from a river state.
For a society to run smoothly without chaos, maintain justice and equality, there must be an abiding law and order. Law is a system of rules and guidelines enforced through social institutions to govern behaviors of citizens for a common good. A nation where laws and orders are respected and obeyed, the societies enjoy peace, harmony, progress, as it protects lives and properties, making human rights a reality. Nigeria, like other countries of the world, has its laws enacted in the 1999 Constitution, which sustains equity on the three arms of government. Now the big question is, are rules of laws respected and obeyed to the latter? Why do Nigerians habitually disregard its law and order?
You go abroad, they maintain, the same persons maintain the traffic rules to the letter. They pay their taxes as at when due, and they don't default. They come back here, they do what they like.
Every anomaly in this country is traced to this singular problem of both the leadership and the led not willingly submitting themselves to what has been set out as a rule of conduct, the rule of law, the rule of relationship, and the rules of engagement.
Our legal system is such that is so porous. Our justice delivery system is porous. And that is one of the reasons why it is like that.
One may ask, what challenges do law enforcement agencies face in course of carrying out their duties?
Under the sun, my men doing work. Small thing, somebody stop, don't go there. The person will just abuse and push his way. Look at these stupid people. But those stupid people are the same people, the moment there is traffic crash, we are number one people that they will be calling. We are employed to go and safeguard their lives and property. Therefore, we cannot just stand there and watch them being killed or getting injured.
If the job, you are not enthusiastic about your job, the pay is poor, there is no motivation to do the job, you're not even proud to be a law enforcement agent, you can't do the job. You will easily be compromised.
Again, do violators of law and orders get punished in Nigeria?
And when the law wants to punish, to raise the sword and apply sanction, these same executives, they are the ones that intervene to say, these are our boys, these are our party men, these are our followers, these are our lackeys. In this intent, they manipulate, or they want to manipulate the judges, the magistrate, not to apply sanction as provided by law.
How then can we as a nation collectively restore law and order moving on in 2022?
It's for those in the executive, those elite, those political class, to resolve to subjugate themselves under the Constitution. They should not be above the law. Any day they change and begin to allow the law to rule and guide everyone without exception, everybody will queue in and everybody will fall into place.
If government wants these countries to change, the government will look into the Constitutional Conference's recommendations and implement some of them.
Make sure the civil service is up to date in terms of workers' incentives and motivation. where the society provides for your children. They provide for everybody. The penchant to steal government money is not there. Because what do we need it for?
As Nigerians, obedience to law and order remains the most important duty of a citizen. It shows respect and regard for authority, knowing that with the structure and organization of law comes order and predictability, safety, and greater productivity.
All right, an interesting one there. Different, submissions there. But we still have our guest in the studio. And yes, you can also be part of this conversation. Our numbers will be on the screen and you can text in. And of course, we get to share your views with other viewers. And now, we know that we have different, law enforcement agencies, in the country tasked with enforcing law. But some analysts have come up to say that they are actually part of the problem we are facing in the country.
I think that is, to an extent, the truth. Because some of them are afraid for their lives. Some of them are hungry. Some of them are not well paid. Some of them are just like the ordinary Nigerians who want to get rich quick. So when they go out to do their job, they don't go with the sincerity of penalizing lawbreakers. They just want to be settled. I know a friend who violated traffic lights recently in a city in Nigeria, and the law enforcers piled into their vehicle. They went to the police station, and the lady insisted that she was going to pay into government coffers. If she broke the law, they called her law offender. If she broke the law, she wanted to pay into government coffers. And she was discouraged. One of them actually said, do you know that you can pay up to 25,000? Yes! She wanted to do that. Pay up to 25,000 into government coffers.
As long as I'm not paying directly to you.
Yes.
Well, as we wrap up this conversation, I know for a fact that we all have a responsibility to ensuring that law and order is maintained in the country. And of course, we are just, trying to acclimatize to the year. That's 2022. It's still fresh, just a week into the year. Now, what would you say to Nigerians in ensuring that we all share that responsibility of maintaining law and order in the country?
My Bible tells me that if you see a good thing to do and you fail to do it, it is a sin unto you. Nigerians like to pass the buck. We don't want to accept our responsibilities. Like the jingle that says, change begins with me. Change should actually begin with each and every one of us. We are all responsible. You cannot drive against traffic. You cannot violate traffic laws. You cannot drive on walkways and then you say, this country is not running well because of our leaders. No, it's because of you. It's because of you. When you see Nigerians gathered, they are very well dressed, gorgeous and all that. But they eat and they wash their hands there. They throw this sachet water, they drink it and throw it. They mess up this country all over without consideration. We should know that we are responsible. Do your little bit, and the rest will be done.
Some say law and order is the medicine for body politic, and if the body politic gets sick, medicine must be administered.
Of course, of course.
Thank you very much for sharing your thought with us, and we hope that we will have you next time, anytime we call upon you. We've been speaking with Mrs. Nkem Awuna. She's the Director of Cabinet Affairs Office in the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation. Let's go on a break, and after that we turn our attention to the 5G technology and digital economy. All right, thank you for staying with us. And right now, we are going to take this next report coming from Jos, and it's going to be on the telcos as we engage 2022. Are people getting value for their money?
In today's digital ecosystem, telecom has become the foundation for business, government, communities, and families to seamlessly connect and share information between and amongst themselves, and more is expected in 2022.
My expectations for the telecom systems, we need a lot of infrastructures to be put in place. Now, when we talk about infrastructures, we consider networking and availability of service, which can actually handle the growth, economic growth. Coming in on technology, we consider a lot of technological reappearances and a lot of technological advancement. So for that to be achieved, we need more of the network, and then we need more of the availability of those systems, putting data usability, efficiency, and then much cost effective.
Research shows that in 2021, there were 101.72 million mobile internet users in Nigeria. This figure is expected to grow to 142.73 million by the end of 2026. Internet users in Jos, the Plateau State capital, reacted on getting value for their money spent, especially on calls and data in a month.
On calls and data, I spend roughly minimum of 10,000.
In a month?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I get value for my money.
In a month, it's not more than 2,000 naira, but for data, I can't say, because the monthly subscription I get ends up finishing before 5 days and 6 days, making it close to 4,000 I spend every month on data. For calls, I think I get the value of my money, but for the data, I don't. I think I'm being scammed on a daily basis. I don't get the value.
Well, approximately, let me say 5,000 to 6,000. Of course, because I have paid my services. Once I achieve my services, at least I'm satisfied, I'm okay.
Although communication has been made easy, the major concern for many is the cost of data and issues of drop calls.
For me, I will not say it's expensive, it's because I know what I'm doing with the data. So I don't know for other people.
Drop calls, yeah, but usually very rare. I think it has to do with poor network, but it's not a frequent thing. Yeah, it does happen.
With the recent upgrade of the network from 3G, 4G, and the anticipated introduction of the 5G network, business opportunities is expected to have a boost.
Realize with a little amount of data, you could actually access a lot of the internet space and a lot of things to do. As time goes on, 3G came in, and then small of that data you could use is not easily used again, it's not accessible. And now to 4G, so we are going to 5G. I would really want telecommunication systems to put and consider some of these things. Why? Because in terms of costing, because as it goes on, more things and more data be consumed on the internet. So we as persons need more of this efficiency, and we need more accessibility to the data, where I know that I can have a certain amount of data, and then it will be able for me to work for over a period of time and to access a particular data, not being restricted to some certain data because of me not having connectivity to the internet.
Therefore, the hope for many is for the services to be improved and more opportunities made available in the telecommunications sector, as it has a way of improving the revenue generation for the nation.
And certainly it has been doing so in the country. But we have joined us in the studio right now to talk further about the digital economy in the person of Professor Muhammad Bello Abubakar. Is the MD CEO Galaxy Backbone. You are welcome to our studios, Prof.
My pleasure to have you. Please.
And I know your body is actually instrumental in ensuring that we have e-governance in the country. Now, let's start off with the President's, speech during that, as in the first New Year speech where he said something along the lines of ensuring the government intentionally leveraging on the ICT sector to create jobs and all of that. Let's build up on that.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me again. And if we go down the memory lane or the promises made by the president when he came in, he wanted to specifically look into 3 issues. One of them is the economic diversification, and then, of course, fighting corruption, and as well as fighting insecurity. And so specifically, I think what he said is more or less just leveraging on the first one. That is the issue of diversifying the economy. And as you know, we have been saying it all along, and many people have been saying it. When you are talking of data present day, the data we said is our own new oil.
Yes.
And we even say that, in fact, data is everything. Even the oil itself, I don't want to even say that data is a new oil in a way, because even the oil itself, you will only get it when you have the requisite data. You have to have the data that will point to you, if I drill here, I will get the oil. So for me, I even see the data as more than even the oil as it is. So, but for Nigeria, that is, if you look at it from the Nigerian context, yeah, we can say now the data is the new oil, because we know that our foreign exchange, 95% of it, as it is presently, about that, is still coming from the oil. So obviously, if we will have another sector that will bring in about the same thing, or more than that, then that assertion is actually actualized and verified.
And trust me, Prof, yes, data is new oil, but people are not finding it easy to access data because it's not cheap, really. And if you even have access to it, you subscribe, before you know it, it's gone.
Yeah, it's true, but it's because Nigeria is just trying to pick up on the digital economy kind of a sector. It's just trying to pick up, and that is why we're having all these kind of challenges. And in fact, not only that, the cost, as you know, from the economic perspective, is how much you have put in. The cost of a particular product is how much you have put in, and also the producing it. So, and then you know that in Nigeria, we don't have power. And you can see that you have all generators all over for the ICT industry to be able to strive. There are also vandalism here and there, and many other things. So all these things are contributing into what is going to be the cost of the data. So that is the major problem. But still going back to your first question, which I think is very, very important that we look at it very well. I think Mr. President consciously has looked into the issue of the digital economy. You know that Nigeria went into recession in 2020 because of fundamentally the COVID-19. And it is the ICT sector that single-handedly, to some extent we can say, has removed Nigeria from the recession in 2020. To the extent that toward the end of the 2020, that is the last quarter of 2020, the GDP growth of the country is from the ICT sector. GDP growth, percentage GDP growth was about more than 14%.
When you look at the infrastructure, that will allow this 5G to thrive in the country, some will tell you we have huge challenge there, and also the fact that our penetration level of broadband is not what we actually anticipated.
No, I have to say that we have done a lot, actually, the broadband penetration. is above 45 now, 45%. And you remember that the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy has put in a lot of policies in place to drive this particular kind of broadband penetration specifically. In fact, I may be even talking about the Nigerian National Broadband Penetration Plan that we have, that is going to be between 2020 to 2025. And it has specified what needs to be done. It has specified what needs to be done to be able to close this gap as it is. So it is not actually an issue at all in the terms of deploying this 5G as it is. If you remember, or as it is presently, where we are using 4G, but still you will see that there may be some part of the countries and other things that are still using 2G.
Yeah.
So, and then you have the 2G, you have 3G, you have now the 4G. So we can also have the 5G as part of our own mix. And I have to say that this is also the reason why the MAPAV and also the MTN went into the 5G. You see, they are business-oriented organizations. If they're looking at it from the pessimistic point of view, they will not have gone into it. The auction for the frequency, that is the option that was made. I think they ended off with about $273 million. You get what I'm saying? So they bought this particular kind of what we call is 100 megahertz TDD. So they were able to within a 3.5 gigahertz range. So they were able to buy this, okay, to the tune of $273 million. For a company that is business-oriented, this is a huge, colossal sum of money. And obviously, they cannot just throw out this money because when they are not sure that actually they can be able to deliver.
Okay, and I know that many people will be hoping that this data, by the time they start going around, people will be, have easy access to it in terms of cost and all of that. But earlier on, you said it's because of the fact that we face issues of power, vandalism, and all of that. Are you saying that even the 5G will be on the high side?
Well, relatively, it is supposed to be cheaper than all the 4G, 3G, and it's supposed to be cheaper.
Okay.
And so now, if we're going to look at it relatively, we'll still say that it's going to be cheaper for the country than the 4G that we are operating now.
Okay.
Okay, despite the fact that we have these particular challenges. But actually, we also have that hope that actually these challenges are also going to be somehow dealt with, and I think that is the direction.
Just before you go, Galaxy Backbone, what really are your agenda for 2022? I know that you have a different, project, lined up. What would it be? How's the outlook for you?
Well, I think it is going to be great. The 2022 landscape looks so great for us, and specifically the journey actually, I have to say that started in 2020, as you know, for me. The journey started in 2020. So in 2020, what we did was to first of all, make it possible for the government businesses to continue because of the COVID-19. And also make it possible for our customers to continue to do their businesses. And then we also make sure that we looked into the issue of the structure of the Galaxy itself to see that it has keyed into the now direction of the government. That is the policy direction of the government. So we have done a lot of restructuring and introduced different departments, okay, fundamentally to make Galaxy actually financially sustainable, and as well as also delivering what it is supposed to deliver as far as the mandate that somehow constituted the organization is. Okay. So that was what we did in 2020. In 2021, what we did was to come up with to motivate, bring in the necessary motivational kind of processes, conscious motivational kind of approaches to make this step, you know, so to have that kind of motivation to deliver.
And I
I
also know that different ministries, agencies, department will be reaching out to you this year. We really don't have much time, but this one is saying that Nigerian government should provide an enabling environment for 5G infrastructure before deployment. Consumer protection agencies should also come alive. This one is coming from Lanre Badmos. Thank you very much, Prof, for sharing your time with us. And we have been chatting with Professor Muhammad Bello Abubakar. He's the MD CEO of Galaxy Backbone. And right now we take a break, and after that the show continues. So please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us, and from one professor to another professor. But before you meet the next prof we have in the studio, let's take this report on 5G in Nigeria.
The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Issa Pantami, in tandem with the Nigerian Communications Commission, declared that commercial 5G network deployment would begin January 2022. Despite this progress, the deployment of 5G network in Nigeria is subject to a number of challenges. 1. Misinformation and conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories about mobile phone technology have been circulating since the 90s, and 5G technology is no exception. In 2020, dozens of 5G cell towers in Europe were destroyed in arson attacks fueled by false conspiracy theories linking 5G technology to the spread of cancer and even the coronavirus. Other false theories argue that...
All right, everything you needed to know about 5G, deployment of 5G technology in the country. And I know that, you know, it has generated a lot of debate at some point. Some people say it's actually responsible for the coronavirus, that it causes coronavirus. And some are saying that the radiation it emits can cause cancer and all of that, different environmental concerns. But to address all of this, we have joined us in the studio the Director General of National Environmental Standards and Regulations Enforcement Agency, that is NESRE, in person of Professor Aliu Joro. You're welcome to our studios.
Good morning, Nigerians.
And now, Prof, I know at some point the National Assembly had to call you to make a presentation regarding the technological impact of 5G technology in the country. Can you just run us through that presentation quickly? What were the major concerns?
Well, the major concern has to do with the environmental issues, because the agency I'm heading, the National Environmental Standards and Regulation Enforcement Agency, so we have the mandate to prohibit the use of any equipment or technologies that impacts on the environmental quality. So we went there to give our perspectives to do with the environment, because there are a lot of things going around, conspiracies. Some were saying the 5G will even cause the COVID-19, the coronavirus. Some were talking about the radiation causing a lot of ailments, especially cancers, and a lot of things. So we went there to present the environmental perspectives. It means whatever you do, it has its impact on the environment. So, for instance, if you go around any city now, you will see some of these masts installed all over. So first of all, some of them, when they're installed there, they disrupt the scenic and aesthetic value of a place. Secondly, because of insufficient power supply, most of these telecommunication masts, which is the core center where it houses all the equipment for this transmission, where you use the mobile telephony. So they use backup generators. So these backup generators are a source of noise pollution. And we know the impact of noise on the human health. It causes a lot of ailments, from hypertension,
sleepless nights, and a lot of things. Not even human beings, it also affects.
And I'm sure all the suggestions were part of your paper you presented at the National Assembly. But just before we go to providing solutions to some of these challenges, different views as regards to the radiation this 5G technology emits and all of that. And then for a common man, since you have 2G, 3G, 4G, and then now 5G, they see, oh God, that means there'll be radiation everywhere and people will be coming down with cancer. Are their concerns genuine?
Not quite so. I think the major problem on some people just when they had radiation, their mind will just switch on to nuclear radiation. They will just be thinking of nuclear radiation. But if you look at it, day in, day out, naturally we are exposed to this radiation. The sun is a major source of radiation, radiating some carcinogenic electromagnetic waves that causes a lot of skin cancers. Even the television we watch is a source of radiation. The International Commission for Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection, the body that is responsible for that, even though they classify some of these radiations as possible carcinogens, but the World Health Organization in 2014 said there is no any concrete evidence to suggest that the radiation that is coming from the mobile telephone will cause some of these cancers. And let me tell you, even some of the food we consume, for instance, if you take pickled vegetable, you know pickled vegetable? The one they use salt in order to preserve it, hot water, and they use salt. And if you use talcum powder, so the risk of contracting cancer is placed at the same level with the one that is going to come from the 5G. And for those that consume alcohol and those that take processed red meat, those two, they are placed higher. The risk of contracting having cancer is higher than the so-called 5G. So actually there is no any strong scientific evidence to support that.
I know in the course of your discussion at some point you mentioned electronic waste, e-waste, and then I know your agency is doing something to ensuring it's managed, appropriately, which at some point you say it can actually create jobs for individuals. And of course, and as we talk about the jobs creation and all of that, I know there are a lot of people who are into SMEs, and then we're trying to look at the prospect for them in 2022. And after that, we talk more with the Director General of Nashville.
Small and medium enterprises play an indispensable role in spearheading the growth and development of a nation's economy.
Small businesses are the engine of the economy. They own the economy. When you go to rural areas, you don't see big businesses there. You don't see even medium businesses there. Most businesses you see there are the small businesses.
The past few years witnessed small and medium enterprises struggling for survival, especially with the economic impacts of the COVID-19 virus.
When there was close-up of the economy, you sit at home, and then when you sit at home, for small businesses, it is not easy. If you sit at home without doing business for one day, the effect is very, very grievous. So that was the situation, especially in 2020, down to 2021.
Aside the COVID-19 lockdown that crumbled businesses globally, what other challenges experienced by SMEs entrepreneurs over the years?
I'll be here, no light. I have to look for another alternative of using a charcoal iron in order to meet up with my customer demand. But when these small-scale business are not encouraged in terms of power supply, which is the key thing, it will be very, very disastrous for us. Most of all the businesses that we are seeing now, most of them are thriving on loan. And most of all the loans are individual loans. You know what it means, the percentage for you to collect loan from an individual, because that person is out there to make money.
And the other challenge when they face for here, now waiting you put for ground, then they thief am. Even the security when they pay here, maybe before the security come, you see them come thief something. No, sometimes vigilante they do, but things you see the loss.
What are the prospects of SMEs this year?
You know, like with this our job now, I don't think anybody that is doing this job and is doing it very well, we have cause to complain. We have good prospects. And I believe that this year, 2022, at least if we are not getting additional 50% of increase, we at least have at least 30% increase to what we already have.
We hope to achieve a lot for this new year. We hope to empower more youths. As you can see, we are having a lot of students here, and we hope to improve in our skills and everything.
They pay this revenue, everything. We don't get any assistance what the government they give us. Unless they want to help us. So thanks to help us.
What package should small-scale businesses expect from the Edo State government this year?
Edo State had an agreement on an MOU with the Bank of Industry. We have currently 2 billion running for small and medium businesses. Application processes for the first phase have been processed on almost at 100%. I'm sure before the middle of this month, we're going to have a rollout of the first batch of beneficiaries.
They have a lot of intervention funds, but we need to now practicalize it, let it go down to the grassroots. Because most of the time, maybe people that even harness these loans might not be able to use it for what they have planned to use it for. And we need to see it. Security problems is another one. If the government can help us with that, it will help a lot of businesses.
Incidentally, I'm just having a chat with Professor Jero. He said he just got back from Edo State and then he had to be here. So thank you for making it with us. But as we wrap up this conversation, because time is not on our side, quickly talk to us about what Nigeria is doing differently in 2022 in terms of enforcement, because enforcement is very critical.
In 2022, the focus of this agency, as you have said, is going to be on enforcement, which is one of the key mandates, because we have the mandates to ensure compliance with all environmental laws, regulations, policies, and standards. So we monitor the activities of all these sectors, including the telecommunication sector that we have discussed, because we have a total of 34 regulations cutting across all the sectors. So we are going to intensify our compliance monitoring and enforcement to ensure that the right thing is done. So we are also going to ensure that a lot of manufacturers, importers, key into this EPR, because it's going to generate a lot of employment, a lot of income to Nigeria. Is going to keep our environment safe and clean.
Well, thank you very much, and of course it's been a pleasure having you with us. And yes, we've been speaking with Professor Aliu Choro. He's the Director General of Nigeria. That is much we can accommodate on Weekend Deal today. Next weekend, certainly we'll bring you another exciting topic that has to do with you and I and the country at large. Bye for now.